So thank you everyone for coming here. I know it's middle of the day, and really appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule. First of all, I'd like to welcome His Excellency Hiramatsu-san, who also took the time to come here and address us, and also distinguished delegates, our partners, customers, and prospects. Thank you so much for making this. It's completely packed, and it's wonderful to see that. Before I begin with the presentation, I'd like to say a few words about our relationship with NTT. It's been an amazing relationship. It's been now over 5 years. The entire core team of NetMagic is not only still there, but is also totally enthused to take this relationship further. And when we set up this relationship, there were many reasons. We were approached by private equity players and a lot of other players. But the reason we selected NTT was we had a common vision. We believed we could add value not only in terms of giving access to a great domestic market to NTT, but also to take some of our services, whether it's cloud software development, whether it's managed services across the globe through NTT's customers and partners like Dimension Data and NTT Data and NTT iCube across the world to all of you. And I'm very happy to state that all the pillars of that strategy have actually been executed over the last 5 years. And I will share with you some of the innovations that we've done, but it's been one of the great examples of how, Shoji-san and Hiramatsu-san talked about how India and Japan can collaborate. This is a living example of great collaboration between Japan and India. I'll quickly take you through. I don't want to spend too much time. I know most of you are aware of some of the market dynamics and the numbers, but basically there's a $10 billion size of the Indian market, and I'm only talking about the India perspective. Obviously the global market is much larger. There's a close to a 45.5% growth rate of infrastructure as a service. We're growing even faster than that. As Shoji-san just mentioned, hybrid cloud is one of the key strategies, right, that NTT as a group, as well as in India, we are seeing this happen with NetMagic as well. And even, cloud is enabling a lot of other services like disaster recovery as a service. And, with all this, with Digital India, with all these moves to the cloud, there's obviously a lot of focus on security. And there's a very large potential market for security as well as in India. And overall, cumulated aggregate growth rate in the software-defined market, software-defined technology market is close to 28%. So what are the key growth drivers that we see along with NTT? One is rising economic growth with more and more friendly policies from the government, with India's growth rate being the fastest in the world. This leads to a rapid adoption of ICT technology, end-to-end ICT technologies. There's a lot of good rollout of data center, cloud, and broadband being done not only by us but also by our partners, right? And that has resulted in improving India's underlying infrastructure. There was always a few years back, everybody used to complain about India's infrastructure, but I think to a large extent, I think in the major metros already those problems are solved. But to a large extent, they're getting solved across the country, especially with wireless technology being deployed. And, you see now coming of age of the startup. There was a little bit of hype in the startup ecosystem. There was a little bit of a crash, but now things are seeming to settle down. There's consolidation, but by and large, there's a very healthy startup environment as well. And of course, maturing enterprises. I remember when we started cloud services earlier, a lot of people were worried about security. A lot of people weren't sure that this is something to be adopted. A lot of people didn't want to outsource to data centers at all. But now that has totally changed. I don't know anybody in this audience who's not using either a cloud or data center outsourcing services, in this audience. So all that is changing. So what are some of the innovations that we've done? I'll quickly go through some of the services that we are providing and the innovation in them. And then Sunil will take you through some of the innovation in some of the other areas other than network area that NetMagic and NTT have done. So obviously, as Shoji-san mentioned, the entity is an end-to-end ICT service provider across the globe, and we attempt to do the same thing in India. So we start at the colo. We start with colo services, which is data center co-location services, and there also there's a lot of innovation. Innovation in terms of energy efficiency. I remember when we used to build our own data centers before the entity partnership, our PUEs used to be around 1.7, 1.8. In DC5, we achieved 1.5, 1.6. And the new data centers that Shoji-san announced today, the design PUE is in the range of around 1.35, 1.4. So there's a lot of innovation there. There's innovation in not only in energy efficiency, but in terms of resiliency, in terms of removing single points of failure. And this not only done by NTT, but a lot of our partners, some of them are here today. A lot of partners like Schneider and others have helped in contributing to these innovations that we've done in colo services. We've also successfully launched private cloud services earlier. We've innovated here as well. We've got something known as a virtual private cloud as well, which we go by the brand name of Simply VPC, where basically compute is dedicated to the customer, but network and storage could be shared or dedicated depending on the customer requirement. This enables quick deployment and it caters to mission critical workloads. We've seen a lot of successes on this, especially on SAP HANA workloads. Hybrid cloud is what I think the entire world is moving towards. Not everything can be put on public cloud, and there is already sunk investment that a lot of you have made. There's a lot of investment that has been done in existing data centers, captive data centers, as well as third-party data centers. You can't just wish away that investment. That has to be combined with highly elastic services, and so hybrid cloud is something that most of you are using. And it's the biggest trend that we are seeing in India as well. As I said, there's a fair amount of innovation that we've done there as well. There is, the way we can connect our cloud virtually with any appliance, whether it's virtual or physical. We've integrated with most products, and so made it truly hybrid and enabled customers to leverage this to their satisfaction. On public cloud as well, the strategy we've adopted here. So we innovated with Simply Cloud, and our team, later on you can interact with our team who's here. Our head of development is here from Pune as well. But what we realized that there's not going to be one cloud fits all, right? There are global cloud providers who have done a lot of innovation themselves, and we are not the pioneers. There are other companies who started the cloud services. But our aim was, how can we provide a seamless management environment? When Shoji-san talks about SDX plus M, the M stands for management of the infrastructure. So he showed you some slides of CMP. Using the cloud management platform that is developed jointly with NTT, we are able to, with a single pane of glass, manage infrastructure not only which is physically hosted in our data centers, but also hosted in public and private clouds across the world. It doesn't matter who the provider is. So I think that's a great innovation, and that way we don't have to be stuck with any one particular technology or provider. The customer has the flexibility of choosing the provider of their choice. On infrastructure management as well, there's a lot of innovation that has been done, mostly in terms of automation, so that the kind of tools that have been deployed, the kind of automation done, so that when you hear some of the challenges the Indian IT industry is going through, and that is lack of automation. So our attempt has been, and we constantly innovate to try and automate this further, so that the benefits of using software as opposed to humans can be passed on and shared with customers. As I said, security is a great market. I think this is one area where India as a whole needs to gear up even further, right? We've not had, while there have been some attacks, they've not quite been the scale of some of the attacks we've seen in the West, and it's only a matter of time, right, that we start seeing attacks that cause substantial loss of data and loss of money, right? And rather than waiting for that to happen, I think we need to be proactive, and a lot of investment that is being done along with NTT Security, some of the platforms like WideAngle and others that we would like to adopt in India as well. And we've also done a lot of innovation ourselves when it comes to managed firewall, web application firewall services, comprehensive network attack management, and denial of service protection along with our partners. On professional support services, we not only do this ourselves, but we also partner a lot with other entity group companies like Dimension Data and Entity Communications India. And focus is also on not only security consulting services, but consulting on DR and BCP, and also a complete host of system integration services. And last but not the least is the reason why we are here today is the integrated network services that NetMagic and Entity CI offer jointly. NetMagic always had an ISP license, so we always provided internet access to our customers. But in addition to that, we launched last year the NLD services, and we are happy to state that we already have several of you in the audience that are using these services. And more recently, we've got the VNO ILD license, which is being launched today, but there are already customers that have started using that from July. And in future, we plan to use some of the innovation from NTT and some local innovation to offer SDN/NFV services in India, leveraging the domestic long-distance license that we have. And so this we will be launching in the November-December time frame, and very shortly. So I'd just like to go through a case study of a domestic network service that the license that we got last year that we've just deployed recently, and we are in the process of deploying further sites. And basically, the key advantage, just like in the cloud case where we said we'll work with multiple cloud providers, here we are working with multiple network providers. We have some of our partners here. I think we've got people from Tata as well as Airtel in the audience. We worked with them, made sure that there's common management interface and common billing to the customer, and using our bulk negotiation power with all these carriers, we were able to give this benefit to the customer. And so this has been an example, and now we will very soon, on top of that, layer the NFV and SDN services that will make this value addition in addition to just doing common billing and common management, which itself is a value add. But on top of that, by offering NFV and SDN services, we'll be able to increase the value add. As we are here for the VNO ILD launch, basically we will be the first Japanese ICT service provider with the ILD license in India. Even though it's a virtual network operator license, it is pretty much, we can now offer the entire range of services. Again, we will have upstream partners like Tata, like Airtel, like others, right, to offer this service. And as I said, we've already started migrating some of our customers from the month of July using this license. We will be offering the software-defined network and NFV-based services, network services in India by November 2017. Here we will offer LAN-to-LAN connectivity. We will offer security in the cloud, the entire network function virtualization, leveraging the internet for this so that we don't have to only do it through MPLS. We can do it through software-defined network capabilities. And this is how the entire comprehensive suite of network services will look like. Some of this already exists today, and some of it we will be deploying in the near future, where we have, customer assets and NetMagic Cloud and other cloud providers all connect through various networks, whether it's the domestic network, whether it's the international network, or the internet, seamlessly provide connectivity to all customer locations, both in India and overseas. So the value proposition that this offers to our customers is it's a multi-carrier network. It's a common portal, single user interface, bulk negotiation capability, resulting in benefits to the customer, bundled service packaging, as well as cloud-based network functions once we offer the full range of network function virtualization services in the country. I will now like to call upon stage Sunil Gupta, who will talk about some of the other innovation done over the last few years in conjunction with NTT. So Sunil, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharath. So I will be expanding on the messages which Shoji-san and Sharad have actually already communicated, but I'll be just trying to expand and communicate some messages which possibly are incremental to that. So as you know, we were actually among the, or possibly the first cloud provider to have launched a public cloud service in India way back in 2009, when it was more of a R&D project internally for us, and we thought that this is a new thing coming up and why don't we adopt it in India, and started giving that service to some of the customers. Today, 7 years down the line, we have cloud services which is extremely flourishing, growing almost at the rate of 100% year on year. And how we are distinguishing our public cloud services, that's absolutely targeted towards enterprises, running on mission critical hardware, on a hypervisor which is actually enterprise grade hardware. We are offering our public cloud services across 5 availability zones which is spread across Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai and Bangalore. The reason for having multiple availability zones is essentially when you're enterprise, you possibly may be having a primary site at one city and you would like to have a DR site in a different city and you would like to have the DR site on a public cloud grid instead of putting in your own bare metal infrastructure. And that is why the reason that we have actually gone ahead, that instead of going for one city, we have put our grids in multiple cities in our data centers. Our public cloud services are scalable vertically. This is something unique to us, that a same cloud instance, you can actually keep on upgrading to a much higher level of RAM and CPU without having to go through the contracting process or without having any limitation at all. And horizontally, that whether it is you are doing it in a defined interval, on a scheduled interval, whether you are doing it manually or whether your applications demand that whenever there's a traffic increase or the load increase on your application, automatically the scaling up happens by launching more instances. All those features are something which are available in our public cloud services. We offer in public cloud services SLAs which are on a per VM level. There's a big difference between offering a SLA on public cloud over a grid level or over a VM level. Our SLAs to customers are on a per VM level, calculated over a monthly basis. One of the unique thing what we are offering, and true, that is how cloud is known as, is truly elastic. Imagine a scenario that you are able to use a cloud where you will start with some particular configuration of a cloud instance, which possibly you don't know what is my requirement of my application, and suddenly you feel that in the evening I have some more load, next day morning you have a little lesser load, 7 days later you are doing some end of the office application work and suddenly the load is very, very high and you have a very, very dynamic requirement all the time. You don't want to get into manual way of increasing, decreasing. You don't want to get into the contracting process and the time dealing process. What you want to have an ideal scenario where the cloud you actually keep on increasing or decreasing the capacity of your cloud the way you want to do that without getting into any type of contracting process. At the end of the month, you just get a bill which is actually reflecting your actual usage measured by every single hour. And that is what is the true elasticity we are providing when we are talking about on-demand elastic cloud services. Our cloud, Sharad shared that it's not one cloud serving all requirements. So you have a huge, different flavors of the cloud instances which we offer, including of different type of storages, high performance SSD storage or the conventional SAS storage. And these cloud services being deployed for mission critical enterprise applications need to be certified through various standards, and that is where we are certified for PCI DSS for the customers who want to have credit card transactions over the cloud applications, CSS star certification, 27,001, 20,000, 9,000. So essentially this is essentially to give that trust to our customers that when you're using our cloud services, it's actually for mission critical applications, whether it's enterprise, ERPs, or whether it is some mission critical e-commerce application. This is something which is fitting very, very uniquely and nicely between a public cloud service and a private cloud services. Essentially, you would like to have the performance of a private cloud service, but still having the flexibility and a cost effectiveness of a public cloud service. And that is why this innovation of NetMagic has come in, which is what we call as a simply VPC or a virtual private cloud. What essentially the service is doing, we are giving the compute, the CPU part, as a dedicated bare metal machinery for your application, right? So if your application is, for example, a SAP HANA or maybe something else which demand a very, very dedicated compute type of a performance. That is what layer we give dedicated. But the layer on the top and the bottom, which is the network security layer on the top and the storage layer at the bottom, is still a shared bulk volume storage, right? So effectively you can imagine what it gives. It is delivering you the performance, compute performance of equivalent of a private cloud. That is what your application, your SAP HANA or Oracle or whatever application you are running demands. But you are still able to have the flexibility, elasticity, and the ease of use with the self-service portal of like a public cloud service. And that is what this service is. This is one of the most fast-moving service what we have right now in the entire cloud portfolio. This is what, again, Sharad spoke about. What we see, the way enterprise adoption of IT is and the way this entire scenario is changing. You will definitely have a lot of customers who possibly have totally new requirements or new applications by startups which are like born in the cloud companies who would like to directly go and satisfy the requirements on a public cloud platform itself, right? However, in real-time world with most of the like enterprises like yourself, you don't have a scenario like this. You have so much of sunk IT into your own captive data centers or a third-party data center where you have put in investments of millions of dollars. You cannot just wish that away simply because now you have a public cloud grid and a good option available. You still have a lot of juice available in that hardware which you still need to put to use for a couple of years. So essentially what as a overall ICT solution provider we offer is that, yes, Mr. Customer, the first thing you do is come out of your problem associated with captive data centers, move all that hardware to us and co-locate with us. So essentially immediately you get rid of those problems of power, cooling, scalability and the typical problem you face in your captive data center. With time, our solutioning team work with customers and we say, okay, Mr. Customer, because your technology is getting obsolete, you need to change that hardware. And then we decide, okay, these applications can move, are good fit for shifting directly to a public cloud, and these applications still need possibly the performance or for whatever reason still need a bare metal type of infrastructure. And that is where if you need bare metal, it still becomes a private cloud solution from us only. And in case those applications can be ported on a public cloud, that public cloud also is sitting just next door because the public cloud is operated by us in the same data center because there are grids in our cities. So essentially, you are able to take care of the customer existing sunk IT and also able to take him very gradually through the process of when he's changing the IT landscape to a new managed hosting solution or a public cloud solution. And the whole journey, instead of becoming 0 to 1, it becomes a very, very gradual adoption technology. And we also realize that even in this scenario, customer may just not be using only my public cloud services. They may have applications deployed across the world, either into some third-party data centers, maybe entities-owned data centers in other data center, or it may be onto other public cloud providers because those are very large cloud providers and be it because of shadow IT, different department going and putting some small applications on other providers or otherwise, customers will end up using multiple cloud. And that is where our solution of what Sharad spoke about, cloud management platform is coming. So with this scenario where customer will end up having multiple ways to satisfy the needs of their applications, they're running into different environments, we have put in this cloud management platform which can, through a single pane of glass, giving you visibility not only of your cloud services running with NetMagic, but also the cloud services running with any of the entity grids across the world, cloud services running with any of the other public IaaS cloud providers across the world, and also with any private cloud implementation which you may have done using any of the hypervisors. And this is truly which is giving the control and management and governance capabilities to customers to manage this multi-hybrid IT scenario. We realize that when our customers are using our services, essentially what they are doing is outsourcing a big part of their IT to us. And when you are outsourcing, one of the fundamental things the customers demand, how can I control? How can I have a lot of visibility? I should be able to see everything, what the service provider is doing to my infrastructure, and I should be able to do a lot of things myself sitting in my office. And that is where we have actually done a lot of innovation into our customer portal. We have done a total upgrade into the customer portal where right from accessing, using, purchasing, upgrading, downgrading, and managing the cloud services offered by us. So the same portal, the customer can monitor the various services they are using with us. So whether it is plain internet bandwidth utilization or backup utilization to the server, CPU, memory, storage utilization on bare metal or on cloud, we can do all that. And besides that, the customer can see the status of all the contracts, all the services they have signed with us, whether they're into active state, deactive state, or into some held up state. They actually can see all their invoices offered by us online. They can actually make payments online. So all this is essentially to ensure that while customer is outsourcing this entire wide range of services from us, right from cloud and data center and managed service to network services, he should also be able to have an extreme high level of control and monitoring onto what we are delivering to the customer. Well, this is the slide which is coming third time. Shoji-san spoke and Sharat spoke. So let me again introduce you to the two new projects which we are working on right now. Both these data centers are under construction and are expected to go live in April 18. This is Mumbai, this is 6. This building is just coming next door, absolutely next door building to our existing DC5 which we had launched 2 years back. This is a ground plus 6 floors building with 2 basements. The gross area of this building is almost 300,000 square feet, possibly the largest data center in India. And for sure, if you take DC5 and DC6 put together, this is the largest data center capacity in a single campus across the country. We are able to put in almost like in excess of 4,000 racks in this data center with a power capacity of more than 22 megawatt and PUE design 1.36. Now this number looks very innocuous, very simple, but a PUE of 1.36 so far was always thought of or heard of only in environments like Europe, which are very colder and you don't, you get a lot of free cooling. But by a whole lot of innovation along with our partners on how we should design and operate our data centers, we have been able to come with this design where we will be able to bring the PUEs, which is essentially the energy efficiency of our data centers, to the levels of 1.36 to 1.4. And this is in Bangalore. In Bangalore, our existing DC2, which is operating since last 4 years, is at Electronic City. And we all know what is the second biggest area other than Electronic City in Bangalore, where you have IT companies, which is Whitefield. DC3 is coming in Whitefield. Both these projects are going simultaneously under construction and are expected to go live in April 18. This building is ground plus 7th floor with 1 basement. And here we can have somewhere around 2,700 racks capacity, again a very, very large capacity with a power of around 15 megawatt with almost similar high efficiency energy design of less than 1.4 PUE. Lastly, we have been getting accolades thanks to the trust which our customers like yourself have reposed on us all these years. We have been getting a lot of awards at various forums. These are 3 of the awards we have won very, very recently. The first one is, this is normally called the Oscars of the data center industry, DCD Awards. We actually won the DCD Asia Pacific Award in 2016. In 2017, recently we won the Frost & Sullivan Hybrid Cloud Service Provider Award. And recently we actually won the Asia Leadership Board Award. This is actually 2 quarters in succession. Asia Leadership Board is something which actually rates the data centers on multiple criteria, quarter on quarter. So this is on a 2nd quarter in continuation, we have been recognized as the #1 data center provider in India, and actually among the largest data center, the best data center providers across the world. That's all from me. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening to me.